If you've ever taken the MBTI test, the one that tells you whether you're an INTJ or an ENFP, and you've taken it more than once, there's a good chance you got a different result the second time. Not because you changed, because the test changed its mind about you. Today I'm going to compare MBTI to a Chinese system that's been mapping personality for 3,000 years. One that literally cannot change its mind because it's based on something nobody can edit. The exact moment you were born before. I'm Jimmy. I'm a certified acupuncturist running 2 channels on YouTube. The other one teaches traditional Chinese medicine. This one decodes BaZi, Chinese astrology. Same 5 elements, same yin-yang logic applied to your birth time instead of your body. A lot of you, including me, have spent years inside personality systems. MBTI, Enneagram, Big 5, Hogwarts houses, if we're being honest. Today I want to show you why one of those systems, the most popular one, has a built-in problem most people never notice, and what BaZi does differently. Quick refresher on MBTI, in case you skipped that phase of the internet. MBTI sorts you into one of 16 4-letter types: introvert or extrovert, sensing or intuitive, thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving. Combine them, you get INTJ, ENFP, ISFP, 16 options total. Here's the issue. Research consistently shows that about 50% of people get a different MBTI type when they take the same test 5 weeks apart. Half of people. Think about that. The system is supposed to tell you who you are. But if you take the test in a good mood on a sunny Tuesday, you might be ENFP. Take it again on a rainy Sunday after a bad work week, you're now INTP. Your personality didn't change in 5 weeks. The test did. The second problem is more subtle but bigger. 16 types means MBTI is dividing the entire human population of 8 billion people into 16 buckets. That's 500 million people per type. 500 million. So when MBTI tells you you're an INTJ, it's also telling 500 million other people they're an INTJ and implying you're all the same. You and Elon Musk are both INTJs, by the way, according to popular online type databases. So is supposedly Vladimir Putin and Hannibal Lecter, the fictional cannibal. Do those 3 have the same personality? Obviously not. So what is the type actually telling us? Okay, now let me show you what BaZi does differently. BaZi uses 4 numbers from your birth: year, month, day, and hour. Each one is encoded as a pair of Chinese characters drawn from a fixed cycle. 8 characters total. That's where the name comes from. BaZi literally means 8 characters. Now do the math. Each of those 8 positions has its own range of possible values. When you multiply them all together, you get roughly 518,400 unique configurations. 518,000 versus 16. That's a 32,000 times finer resolution. If MBTI is a postcard of who you are, BaZi is a satellite map. And here's the kicker. Your BaZi configuration is determined entirely by your birth time. You didn't fill out a form, you didn't pick answers, you can't influence it, you can't even retake it. The chart you're born with is the chart you have for life. That's not a bug, that's the entire design philosophy. BaZi assumes your essential structure is set at birth, and the system's job is to map it accurately, not flatter you. Let me make this concrete with someone everyone knows, Steve Jobs. Online MBTI databases, and there are a lot of them, disagree about Jobs' type. Most say ENTJ, some say INTJ, a few say ENTP. The personality database site, which crowdsources these from public votes, has Jobs at roughly 60% ENTJ, 30% INTJ, 10% other. Notice what just happened. One of the most documented humans alive, books, interviews, biographies, hundreds of hours of keynote footage, and MBTI fans still can't agree what type he was. Now let's look at his BaZi. Steve Jobs was born February 24th, 1955 at 7:15 p.m. in San Francisco. His daymaster is Yang Fire, the radiant sun. The kind of fire that wants to be seen, the kind that wants to move people, inspire them, light the way. If you've ever watched a Jobs keynote, the lighting, the stage, the way he'd pause and let an audience lean in, that's Yang Fire on display. The personality archetype literally is, I exist to illuminate. But here's where it gets interesting. Jobs' chart is heavily anchored by Earth. 3 Earth pillars surrounding that fire day master. Yang Fire alone would scatter. It would be charisma without follow-through, the inspiring speaker who never ships a product. But Earth gathers fire, holds it, turns heat into something practical. That's the entire story of Apple. Jobs wasn't just charismatic. He was obsessive about manufacturing, about the curve of a corner, about the weight of a laptop hinge, about what was inside a box you'd never open, fire that turns into structure. The tension in his chart, according to BaZi, is between fire wanting freedom, wanting to inspire, wanting to move, and Earth demanding responsibility, structure, follow-through. And that is the entire Steve Jobs biography in one sentence, getting fired from Apple for being too unstructured, coming back 10 years later, having learned how to channel the fire into systems, building the most disciplined product company in history. No MBTI type captures that. No 4 letters could. Compare that to Elon Musk. We talked about him in episode 1, Day Branch Yang Metal, Day Master Yang Wood, the Towering Pine. Online databases call Musk an INTJ. Jobs in some databases is also INTJ. Same MBTI type, same supposed personality. But look at what they actually built. Jobs designed beautiful objects people fall in love with. Phones, laptops, things that fit in your hand. Musk launches rockets and welds steel for fun on weekends. One is Yang Fire over Earth, radiant inspiration channeled into obsessive craft. The other is Yang Wood over Yang Metal, towering ambition cutting through raw industrial scale. Same MBTI bucket, completely different humans, completely different BaZi. That's because MBTI is measuring 4 binary preferences. BaZi is measuring 8 inputs multiplied across 5 elements and 12 cycles and accounting for how they interact. One system tells you which bucket you're in, the other tells you the precise architecture of how your bucket is built. Now, same as last episode, I have to be careful here. I'm not telling you MBTI is useless. It's not. Used loosely as a vocabulary for talking about preferences, it works. It's why corporate training programs have used it for decades. It gives people language. What I'm telling you is that MBTI is not a measurement, it's a label. The label can change because labels are made by humans, applied by humans, and humans are inconsistent. BaZi is closer to a measurement. It's based on inputs nobody can edit, your year, month, day, and hour of birth, and a system with 2,000 years of refinement around how those inputs interact. Is BaZi perfect? No. Any system that compresses a human into 8 characters is going to miss things, but it's a much higher resolution starting point than 4 letters. One more thing about MBTI that doesn't get talked about enough. MBTI was not built by psychologists, it was built by a mother-daughter team, Catherine Briggs and Isabel Myers, in the 1940s. Neither had formal training in psychology. They built it on top of Carl Jung's theory of psychological types, which Jung himself called a hypothesis, not a finished theory. So MBTI is roughly 80 years old, built by non-psychologists, based on a hypothesis its source author didn't finish. Compare that to BaZi. The 4-pillar system was refined over multiple Chinese dynasties, Han, Tang, Song, Ming, by court astronomers, mathematicians, and medical practitioners. Roughly 2,000 years of iteration by full-time professionals whose job depended on it being accurate. Which one would you trust more? I'm not asking that rhetorically. Honest answer is, depends what you want it for. If you want a 5-minute vibe check, MBTI is fine. If you want to understand the architecture of who you are, you probably want the system that has 2 extra millennia of debugging. If you want to see your own BaZi chart, what your daymaster is, what your 8 characters are, what your real configuration looks like, there's a free BaZi calculator at easternreading.com, link in the description. Plug in your birth time, see your full 4 pillars chart immediately. The full personalized reading is $9.99 if you want the deeper interpretation, but the chart itself is yours to see for free. Next video, I'm going deep into the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, water, and how they actually shape personality. Not vague, you're a water sign stuff, the mechanics. If you took the MBTI test in this video and want to share, drop your MBTI type and your BaZi Day Master in the comments. I want to see if there's any correlation. There might not be. That itself would be interesting. Thanks for watching. See you next time.